Greetings, metaphysicians. This is episode 191, Faith and Sensory Development. And this is our very last episode on one single tool of angelic reformation. We are approaching the end of this season, and this is a really special process. So I do hope that you enjoy it.
You're listening to Let's Get Metaphysical. This podcast explores the spiritual and metaphysical world through the experiences and opinions of the host and those interviewed. It should not necessarily be seen as direct endorsement or personal advice to our listeners. We encourage you to use your own discernment, judgment, and intuition regarding anything you learn from this show. The statements and advice offered in this podcast are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or medical condition, and are not substitutes for prudent medical care offered by licensed medical professionals. References to healing or treatments in this episode are describing faith-based blessings performed by God and the master healing angels. Neither this episode nor any part of it may be copied, transcribed, distorted, sold, republished, or distributed without first receiving the express written permission of both the CMA International Foundation and Up and Awaken Productions.
Let's get meta.
Welcome to the Let's Get Metaphysical podcast. I'm your host, Renata Maniaci. Here to remind you, you are a spiritual being currently having a temporary human experience here on lovely planet Earth. Enjoy it. This is Season 8, Angelic Reformation, and this is episode 191, Faith and Sensory Development. And this season is all about the body of knowledge known as Angelic Reformation, which is what we call the tools, processes, and rapid spiritual development work that has been presented through the teacher, Master John Douglas, by his companions, the Master Angels. It is a set of spiritual development tools that anyone can choose to use alongside any existing spiritual practice, religion, or tradition towards the intentional, rapid evolution of your consciousness. Today we are discussing the faith and sensory process. And just to remind everyone, a process in this context is an MP3, kind of like an audio meditation. There are currently 15 processes in the array of tools that make up Angelic Reformation, ranging in length from 3 minutes to an hour and 6 minutes. If you have not yet listened to the first 2 episodes for this season, it might be helpful for you to listen in to episode 168, Angelic Reformation, and episode 169, The Evolution of Consciousness, before listening into this one. They do provide context for what we're talking about. However, each episode also works as a standalone. If you like this episode and want to learn more, I do suggest scrolling back to find the episode titled Angelic Reformation. Now, if you are ready, then let's get meta. Master Angels, I humbly request your presence, guidance, and support through this episode. Please help these words to be useful to all listeners on their evolutionary journey. Let me know the truth, speak the truth, become the truth, and be the truth. And please let this episode reach whoever needs to hear it. Thank you with full faith. Bless creation. Faith and sensory development. In my own words, this is a tool that can deepen whatever vessel faith is held in for you. Like if your faith vessel was the size of a teacup, this process can transform the teacup into a large vase, for example, giving you the capacity to hold more faith. It can also develop and expand your senses in a myriad of ways. This process has one portion of silence in the middle, during which you are meant to say your mantra if you have been initiated into transcendental meditation, or if you have not, you are given a mantra to say silently. This is a 29-minute process, and it is also considered to be an advanced process, though anyone is welcome to use it. Here is the description of Faith and Sensory from the globalcma.org website where this process can be purchased. Thousands of technical enhancements to the pineal gland and other sensory pathways allow an aspirant to evolve into oneness through access to nature and universal truth. These sorts of techniques can activate the hidden senses, build them up, and help prepare an aspirant for the elite development courses. It is suggested that Faith and Sensory can be used as often as desired. And before I go into my own experiences with this process, let's first hear from a few people who also enjoy the process.
Hi, my name is Laura, and I live in Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania. I want to talk about Faith and Sensory Development, the MP3 that John created. I love it so much because during the beginning part of it, he's activating all of your intuitive power and your sensory power and your realization into oneness. And he's opening up all of your sensory organs, and you just get really charged from the early or opening processes. And then he takes you into a place where you start meditating with your mantra. And, after already being opened up into the divine bliss, and you start meditating, when I start meditating, I should say, I just go into such a deep state of relaxation and letting go and feeling absolutely charged by divine bliss. And then what I love even more, I think, is that after that, he brings all the gold into your nervous system and into your brain and into your kundalini and into all of your sensory chakras. And it's just such a beautiful practice to sit and allow the divine energy to just permeate every cell of your body.
Hi, I'm Paola. I live in Charleston, South Carolina. I've been using angelic reformation tools since 2015, and I'd like to share my experience using the recently updated Faith and Sensory Development CD. I am an artist and a makeup artist, and I'm always working on creative projects. I was so excited when Master John updated the Faith and Sensory Development CD to help us improve our creativity and artistry. I've been using it every time before starting a painting or before an appointment with a client. My makeup skills have improved exponentially since then, and I've come up with techniques that have never occurred to me before. And I'm seeing where I can refine my skills in a way I hadn't seen before as well. And it's really pretty remarkable and amazing. It has also helped me to come up with new, unique ideas for my paintings.
This is a Faith and Sensory testimonial that was emailed in from someone who wishes to remain anonymous. Each of the processes brings its own unique shade of celestial light. The Faith and Sensory development process, especially with new additional benefits recently added by Master John, produces a great softness and a refinement of perception, and brings great appreciation of the lively vibrations of the world around me. I revel in my view of the world around me and see more of its beauty. As an amateur photographer, these more refined perceptions lead to more captivating and inspiring photographs. As a writer, it seems to support more prismatic awareness, more insights, and more creative ways to express or explain my subject matter. My senses are more refined, and the feelings are connected more closely with those perceptions, and so more comes out.
Hi, I'm Penelope. I live in California and wanted to share an experience with the faith and sensory development process. I've been using it for the past few months and will never forget one of the first experiences I had with it. I was out running errands and decided to stop in a parking lot, hop into my back seat and do the process. I had a little bit of time. Why not, right? The experience was so phenomenal. I recall feeling a distinctive pulsation start in the center of my brain during the process. I became so excited to discover this was the location of my pineal gland. I also felt a stimulating sensation in my forehead, and it's hard to describe. At best, I could say it felt kind of like a vortex of energy. I realized this must be a chakra activating. It was a very exciting experience for me, in particular because I've been concerned about my brain health over the past few years. Some time back, I'd been exposed to toxic chemicals that negatively impacted my health, and I was worried about my brain function. But coming out of this process, my brain has felt so blissfully lit up. I'm relieved to feel my brain working and excited about the transformations taking place within me.
A big thank you to Laura, Paula, to our anonymous friend, and to Penelope for sharing your experiences with us today. And one of our testimonials today mentioned that Master John recently updated Faith and Sensory with a new creativity blessing. And I wanted to highlight this to reiterate that all of these processes, these MP3s, are updated periodically without having to purchase another. These updates occur immediately and simultaneously when needed, depending on when new knowledge comes in, which happens all the time. So we may be told sometimes, if we're paying attention to this area, when those things are updated, and we may not be. For example, if a new bacteria is discovered by Master John and the Master Angels, it could be added to the cold and flu disc without, getting an email about it or something like that. But it would help everyone at the same time simultaneously without having to purchase another tool, another disc in this case. The creativity blessing came out of a recent tour event when Master John was asked by someone in the audience what we can do to increase our creativity. And at that time, he was directed by his angelic companions to add a specific blessing for creativity to the faith and sensory process. And you heard some of the results of that addition, one from an artist and makeup artist, and another from a writer-photographer. So I just wanted to go into that for a minute to really highlight that these processes and tools, whether it is the audio processes, the discs, the pendants, they are continually added to with and without our knowledge, without having to, upgrade ours by buying something else. It just happens through this process of angelic reformation. Now, my experiences with faith and sensory, to be honest, I love putting this on when I am falling asleep. Now, I'm not supposed to say that necessarily because the proper way to listen to this process is sitting up and having your full attention on it, which I highly recommend doing. This process is really interesting too because during this, right before the silent part, we're directed to place our tongue at the roof of our mouth, and this process has a huge part in connecting to your pineal gland, which is a really, intense experience. It can be, it's going to be different for everyone. So for me, it's intense. It's really a unique feeling because the pineal gland is described specifically exactly where it is in the brain. And before this, I had no idea exactly where it was in the brain, nor could I visualize where it was in the brain. And this is a big part of this process, is envisioning exactly where it is and making a conscious connection with your tongue on the roof of your mouth to be able to access more of that. So it's a really beautiful and unique process. It's also something that I play along with geometric patterning often when I'm working on the computer for work or school. It just seems to help things to flow better. Sometimes I'll put Geo on alone, and sometimes I will make a playlist of Geo and Faith and Sensory and just have those on loop while I'm working. And it depends on what I'm doing, but I have noticed this creativity blessing. And what I want to do, what I would love to do and need to move into, work into my life is I want to make more time for listening to this process properly, sitting up, listening to it without working on something else, without falling asleep. And I can feel that it's going to unlock a lot for me, and I just need to make the time for it. Like every other process, Faith and Sensory costs $150. And, I wanted to go in a little bit about faith. The sensory part is, it's maybe a little bit more tangible for people. I don't know. I guess it depends on who it is. But for some reason, I wanted to go into the faith aspect a little bit more. The sensory is just taking all of your senses, known and unknown, because we do have senses that we don't talk about and understand and know about. An example of that is the sense when the hairs on the back of your neck stand up when somebody is looking at you, but you don't know that until you feel that. It's not like you saw somebody looking at you, you just feel it. That's a sense. That is something in our sensory systems that doesn't necessarily have a name on this planet or in our culture right now, but that is a sense. So there are senses that we don't know about or talk about that get enhanced also through this process, along with the ones that we do know about. So that's all I really kind of want to say about the sensory part of this. But faith, I could do a whole season on faith. It's a difficult word for some people, especially if someone didn't grow up in a religion or tradition or talk about faith very often. I did not grow up in a religion or tradition and am only maybe scratching the surface, just getting to the very beginnings of understanding what faith is. But I can say that this process deepens it. And it has for me, for sure, without dogma, without religion, without human constructs, without something that, what's a human construct? Without something that a human created to believe in, okay? I respect all religions, faiths, traditions, well, most if they're not hurting anybody, but they were created by humans, right? So faith for me has gone from meaning a word that belongs to religion to being a word that belongs to everyone and to divinity itself, to universal truth, to the universal supreme being or God, whatever term fits for you. But that whole umbrella of divinity for me is now what faith encompasses. That is what my faith deepens into. The all that is, the all-knowing, the force that is the force for creation in the entire existence of everything. Faith in that, right? It's not faith in one person or one set of beliefs or one religion, etc. It is deeper than that. And what I found interesting about using this process is that is there somewhere. I'll speak for myself first. That was there somewhere within me. It already existed. I didn't have a religion or dogma or tradition to be able to have created that faith. It was existing in me already. Predetermined, pre-human constructs, pre-human belief systems. It was there. And it's like this process helps to uncover what was already there and helps to shine a light on how big and deep that can be within you. Now, this is a belief system, and I want to point that out. I have a belief that everyone has that everyone has this innate, natural thing that is called faith. And by that I mean faith in the divine, the universal divine, not separated by our humanity and constructs and belief systems, but the divine, the divinity that affects all of us in the same way, whether we realize it or not, whether we understand the laws of nature and the supreme laws of the universe or not. And that is faith for me now. And it is this process that has allowed me to access more of that than I have been able to, I believe, in this human body, except that, I probably came in holding a lot of that. I do believe that babies are closer to God than adults because they have come from source, and they're still that much closer to source than adults are, until, of course, we age to the other side and become closer and closer to source. That is a personal belief that I have. Not to be confused with the divine all-knowing, this is true for everyone. But that's what faith and sensory has done for me on a big level. So again, these transformations and blessings are brought about by listening to this process. You're simply pressing play and listening. This is a compact, time-bound spiritual technology given to us by the Master Angels through the teacher, Master John Douglas, and is available to anyone. I wanted to say, what else did I want to say today? I'm going to leave it there for this process for today. If you are interested in looking more into this tool or any of these tools or finding out more about angelic reformation, visit globalcma.org. These angelic reformation tools are available to anyone interested. If this is calling to you, there's probably a reason for that. One of these tools could probably help you with some aspect of your life, whether it is a physical ailment, emotional or mental ailment, a spiritual ailment. What's neat about these tools, I was just talking with another friend about this today, is that, yes, these tools and this work can absolutely help you on a physical level. They have been known to be able to identify exactly the organism that is causing your flu or your stomach bug or whatever, identify that and destroy that specific thing, that specific organism that shouldn't be there, and then you're better, right? That's a very physical thing. But it goes so much more than that, and that's what I'm interested in just as much as the physical stuff. Why did you get sick in the first place? Right? Those are bigger questions, but all of it's connected. And yes, this can help things on the physical level, but it can go out from there. Emotional, mental, all the way out into the spiritual. What is your karma? What do you have to learn in this lifetime? What are the growth experiences you have to have, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it goes out so much larger than just the material, just the physical. Metaphysical, right? Let's get meta. So anyways, if this is calling to you, I have good news. Our next tour, the next tour for this teacher, Master John Douglas, and this angelic reformation system, array of tools, is starting March 18th, 2026, we're in, with the Divine Life Tour. And it is an online live event on March 18th with Master John that costs $21. And that's in honor of his 21 years of doing events in the United States. So if you have been curious this season at all, if any of these tools have piqued your interest, if you want to hear Master John speak live for a fairly low bar, $21, this would be a perfect event for you to attend. And you can get your ticket, the link to join in, at globalcma.org. And I just heard about this today, that we just announced this event, and I happened to be recording today, so I wanted to share it as we're getting to the end of this season. And we are getting to the end of this season. This was the last episode featuring a single angelic reformation tool. Every episode we've had has featured a single tool from the cadre of tools known as Angelic Reformation. And we are approaching the end of this season, where I will stop talking only about this, but since this popped up today as our next live event, I wanted to share it. So if you want to get on that live online event with Master John Douglas on March 18th of this year, go to globalcma.org. Ticket is $21 to be able to have the link to the event. And our next episode will feature testimonials, not just about one specific tool, but about Angelic Reformation as a whole. So we will do that next time. If you feel called to leave a positive review for the podcast, if you're getting something out of this, please do. You can leave a 5-star review with a positive word or two on Apple Podcast or Spotify or wherever you listen to this podcast. It does help the episodes to reach the people who need to hear them. As always, thank you for listening. Stay positive, stay safe, and stay meta.
The Let's Get Metaphysical podcast is an Up, and Awaken production and is produced and hosted by Renata Maniaci. Our intention is to raise the vibration of the planet by sharing, validating, and normalizing spiritual and metaphysical experiences. The Let's Get Meta podcast is inspired by angels and supported by angels. If you would like to be a patron angel of the podcast, visit patreon.com/letsgetmeta. Thank you for listening. Stay meta.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.
Let's get meta.
Metaphysical.